Hello and welcome to the Holy Hour podcast. It's the bi-weekly All Cure podcast. I'm Gavin. How you guys doing out there today? Hope you're doing all right. Hanging in there, ready for some cure talk. And the other boys are a little hard to wrangle this week, so you're stuck with little old me, but fear not. It is a rambly episode of fun feature on the one and only Quadpus and Half of an Octopus. So yeah, we're gonna be doing a little trip back in the old time machine to this wonderful EP that came out, and a few little mysteries involved with it, but thought if nothing else, just fun to compare and contrast Quadpusses, and also use an excuse to do features on the songs that are included on these two EPs from back in the day, because we don't get a chance to really praise some of these old B-sides and just general classic Cure songs very much. And you know, this is the year of Head on the Door after all, so this is a good way to ease our way into celebrating the 40th anniversary of this classic Cure album, which we will feature in more detail later in the year as we approach the release anniversary date of Head on the Door, which was in August. But, leading up to that, why not get ourselves pumped up by talking about some Head on the Door tracks and this EP. So, yeah, there are a couple differences with these two things. Half of an Octopus, Quadpus. What am I even talking about? There may be Cure fans out there listening that don't even know what the hell either of these are. So maybe the cover art is a good place to start. You've probably seen the image if you're a Cure fan floating around out there, even if you don't have this particular record EP. So this was only a vinyl release. This never came out on tape or CD as far as I know. So yeah, the cover art out there is pretty cool. It's like this octopus, like a blue octopus with an eye in the middle of it, and it's surrounded by bubbles and cut out little fish, kind of the same ones that are on the Close to Me single cover too, if you're more familiar with them, where they're popping out of the wardrobe there and there's little fish swimming around the cover. So little paper cutouts of fish, and both releases, Half of an Octopus and Quadpus, are the same, so you don't have to buy both of them there just for a slightly different color or anything. Not sure why it's called Quadpus. You would think that would mean it's half of an octopus or half of an octopus, but the octopus has 8 legs. So unless it's like cut perfectly, what would you say, like a straight across instead of vertically? If it was cut horizontally, I guess, then we would still see all 8 tentacles. So it is a full octopus in the picture there. You'd think that's a good excuse to just do 4 tentacles, but so yeah, that's the picture there. It's oddly enough too the remix version that became a single for Mixed Up too in '90 also had Quadpus actually on it. It was red this time and zoomed in a lot closer and still had the cutout fish surrounding to it. So Quadpus makes a return for the Close to Me Closer Mix single cover as well. But on top of that, and then it has like the songs and the title on it. It's a cool image. It's kind of a cool secret code kind of Cure art too. If you see that, you would definitely go Cure fan right away. And Chaz actually has the tattoo of that we mentioned in our tattoo episode, so that was a cool choice for the tattoo. I don't know if there's too much of a story to it. I think he did just kind of want to go for a less obvious Cure-related image, if you will. But let's dive into the similarities. Most might think Quadpus is the more dominant, but really Half of an Octopus came out first, and Half of an Octopus was released September 27th, 1985. So just to give you the timeline, basically In Between Days would come out in July 19th as a lead-off, advanced single for Head on the Door. So ahead of the album, In Between Days came out in July. Then we got the album Head on the Door in August. And then Close to Me is the next single, would come out in September 13th. And then this comes out September 27th, 1985. And these are based on dates off of Wikipedia, so I've noticed some of these tend to get a little fucked up in history when everyone's doing their Cure anniversaries. But if according to that, this came out like just a couple weeks after the Close to Me single. So it's a little odd that they would put out this weird, like, not official single, but an EP or elaborate version. But it is basically a Close to Me single, Half of an Octopus. In this regards, on this one, a 10-inch. So I guess it's a little smaller too. That was something I wanted to ask Chaz, is like, was the UK Half an Octopus only on 10-inch? I believe so. So we wouldn't get the full 12-inch art until Quadpus, which comes later. So as far as tracks though, so what's on this thing? Half an Octopus has Close to Me as the lead-off track, and it's the 7-inch version. So this is the with saxophone, door creaking at the beginning, the version that's on all the greatest hits and such. Probably the more commonly one, because it has the sax and everything. People always forget that the version on Head on the Door doesn't even have that in there. So pretty cool. So it has like this single version of Close to Me, which the Close to Me single also had too. So, and Man Inside My Mouth, which I believe was the main, out of all the rotating kind of B-sides, that was the main B-side for the Close to Me single. So then on the flip side, we got New Day and Stop Dead. And Stop Dead was a rotating B-side too, I believe, in between days. And Close to Me, that one popped up on a few of them. So New Day is the one that the Brits were probably buying this for. When you're looking at it, you go, whoa, what the fuck is this? And it's got this unreleased song, New Day. And they're probably buying it for that Close to Me 7-inch, if they didn't already buy the Close to Me single. So some cool stuff on it, but probably wasn't super crucial other than collectors and wanting that New Day B-side. But that's Half of an Octopus. 4 songs, basically a real long single. So it's not even like a very long EP by any means. So Close to Me, Man Inside My Mouth on side A, New Day, and Stop Dead on the B-side. Not that far after the Close to Me single, like we said. So pretty odd. Love to hear you guys' opinion. Anybody that was out buying these at this point, like, what were your thoughts on release day of this? Were you like, what? Because that'd be pretty weird. So that's Half of an Octopus. And it wouldn't be until 1986, January of 86, that the US and Canada would get Quadpus. So that was only a US and Canadian release. And this EP is on a full 12-inch. Same art, like I said, and slightly different set list or track listing here. So this one includes an extended version of Close to Me. But let's go in order here. So just get our Quadpusses straight. This one leads off with A Night Like This. Okay, so a pretty drastic change right off the bat there. So A-side is A Night Like This, and then New Day, that other new song. And then side B is Close to Me, 12-inch remix. So again, a different version. And then Man Inside My Mouth. So some good things to note on this one. This one makes a little more sense. Like that, I might be missing a detail on Half of an Octopus of why that even came out, what the importance of that was. But this one makes a little more sense because by this point in January 86, Head on the Door's been out. It's making some good traction, especially in England with In Between Days, Close to Me, college radio equivalent over in the UK, I'm sure, blowing up pretty good. So they probably figured it's worth another crack at the charts by putting this out in the US, because it was another way of doing a single without doing a single, you know? And because they had already put Close to Me out too in the US. Hence why they swapped out Stop Dead with like an honorary single spot with A Night Like This, pushing it ahead of Close to Me even, because they already got the Close to Me single. So put A Night Like This on there. It's a strong album track, pretty much a single vibe, right? So you're putting that as the lead-off track on this EP, is the lead-off track on there. And so in this context, Quadpus is more or less A Night Like This single than anything else, and that makes sense to my brain anyway. So it finally may also explain a huge thing I've been babbling about forever, of how and why A Night Like This is like the most honorary single that isn't a single in the Cure catalog, pretty much, and why they most oddly made a video for it. So in the video collection, there's A Night Like This, and I guess we shouldn't neglect 1015 and Other Voices, and A Night Like This definitely stood out because they weren't singles, right? Even The Blood was technically closer to being an official single than even A Night Like This, right? Because there is an actual Blood single out there in a video. It was just in South America or in Spain or something, very limited single or something, but I think that one's even considered more official. So really weird that they had a Night Like This video, and it's included on Staring at the Sea, the singles collection. So yeah, I always thought that was really weird, but this kind of explains it. Like maybe there was some kind of technicalities without doing a full official single, so they just put out this EP where A Night Like This is there, so somebody could have tracked that down and gone like, whoa, what is this song? It's great. Is this an excuse to play it on the radio too? So that's pretty awesome. And yeah, so it makes more sense to me that Quadpus would feature A Night Like This and kind of give it its due there. US and Canadians are buying it for basically, if they had everything up to date at that point, A New Day would be the unreleased track that you were trying to hunt down, along with the 12-inch version of Close to Me. And we'll get into the different versions of Close to Me in a minute here. But so yeah, in the US, we already had Man Inside My Mouth as the B-side to Close to Me single, like the UK. Some copies had Stop Dead as well. That would just rotate them, I guess. Not really sure the reasoning on that, but Stop Dead would also be a varying B-side on In Between Days, even though that was mostly Exploding Boy and A Few Hours After This as far as the B-sides for In Between Days. But Henson's 7-inch that he has of In Between Days only has Stop Dead as the B-side. So again, pretty weird, but it was out there. So New Day was the fresh, what is this song, and the 12-inch extra long version of Close to Me. So, and even to this day, I feel like it's oddly easy, fairly easy to find this. Like just at the record shop the other day, I came across a Quadpus 12-inch. Almost wanted to buy it just to have an extra copy, but don't have that kind of money at the moment. So, and it wasn't crazy expensive, but I don't know how much did they crank these out a lot or something. The same way that I always feel like Japanese Whispers is always the one that pops up around here. Like that was one that they must have just like cranked those out and people just bought them up, or those are ones people are willing to part with or something. But yeah, I remember scoring a copy of Quadpus pretty early on, back when early 2000s maybe, when no one cared about vinyl, and I was just buying it for the sake of having another Cure thing, and luckily did, because it was definitely a lot cheaper than what it is now. It's not one that goes for crazy amounts, but it seems like it would be really rare. They're probably never going to reissue that unless they really run out of shit to release for picture disc record store day. So aside from not having actual singles, a lot of these B-sides we still don't really have on vinyl till they do that mega Join the Dots B-side vinyl reissue. The only way to get it is through singles, so they don't really have too many EPs or anything like this. Also heard a cool little wrinkle that I hadn't heard about in leading up to this, when Antonio and Chaz and I were all texting about this episode, he mentioned he has a 12-inch promotional record that's just A Night Like This. So that one was really weird, and a strange wrinkle in this single, not official single, because that's stripping away everything from Quadpus, basically, and just making A Night Like This a radio single. It definitely is promotional only, didn't have any cover art or anything, but it was an official label on it and everything. So, yeah, and it was just A Night Like This on both sides. So very odd that, like, at that point, just put it out as a single. I wonder what the holdup was. Especially from this point on. Let's see. Yeah, Kiss Me Up for a good length of time. They're gonna have at least 4 singles on every album. So, it was a different time then. I think right by 87, it was changing to where you could really. But the momentum was there, so you would think they would have just given in and done a third single for The Cure. And I don't know, I should have looked up where the blood thing falls into the timeline of that. Had they already done the sort of single of the blood? So maybe by this point they're like, let's just call it Quadpus. It'll be A Night Like This single. But interesting that he has that promotional single too. But there's a lot more that could be said for all the songs on this. So what do you say we do a little track by track of Quadpus and Half An Octopuss and see what we can dig up on all these gems? First off, I guess Close to Me, if we go back to the start of Half of an Octopuss basically being a feature on Close to Me, we are getting remixes in particular, so it does still kind of hold up since it was the main single. And, we did a Close to Me episode, so we'll go light on this one because we covered that one pretty good just fairly recently in a Close to Me episode. So see episode 225, I believe it was. And I'm sure we talked about it off and on in between a billion other songs, but really dive into it at 225. So go check that one out if you really want to absorb Close to Me. And I think we covered some of this in that as well. But as far as the Quadpus angle, the main thing is the different kind of versions of Close to Me that we're getting. So once again, the Head on the Door version, no sax. It's about 3 minutes and 23 seconds. And then the 7-inch version, which is on Half An Octopuss, you get the introduction of the sax. This is the version that's on Staring at the Sea. It's on the Greatest Hits. Opens with the squeaking door like the video. So probably the most common version we're hearing of Close to Me these days is going to be that 7-inch remix with the sax. Pretty out there sax, It really feels 1985, but at the same time works. It's a classic song. Sounds great, So much of Close to Me is awesome, no matter what. If it's the album version, the short sax version, or the one that's on Quadpus, 12-inch. And this one's got sax all over the place. This is also the version, if you're keeping score at home, that is on disc 2 of the mixed up reissue. So it starts with like hand claps and soft little breathings and stuff. But then the sax solo actually kicks the song off. So it's going, then it like stops. And then the song kind of starts with like the 7-inch version with the sax again. So it's pretty much madness with the sax on that one. 6 minutes and 32 seconds. And that's versus the 3 minute and 41 7-inch version. The 7-inch one really isn't that much longer than the album version. So it is kind of just replacing a lot of the instrumental bits, or has a sax over it until you get to the single version. So I guess it's how much you like sax is what it really boils down to, especially 80s saxophones. And we're not done with the saxophone there, because on the next song, A Night Like This, we also get a wicked sax solo. But A Night Like This is one that we could really do a whole episode on. A fan favorite, this honorary single, if there ever was one. And it appears as track 8 on Head on the Door. It's the final song and video on Staring at the Sea, the longer version of Standing on a Beach, which is on the CD and the VHS videos collection. Yeah, it's the first of these 3 mutated Cure songs, if you will, too. Its origin dates back to pre-Cure days even, when the band was Malice. And the song was apparently even on the set list at that historic St. Wilfrid's school show, December 20th, 1976. And they performed it at that show in the form of, I believe it was still called Plastic Passion. So Plastic Passion, on a sub note there, another old Cure song. The demo version of Plastic Passion was basically a slowed down A Night Like This. Mostly the same keyboard part, the din 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 din, and the chord progression. None of the same words as A Night Like This, but Plastic Passion. And it's hard to find because that wasn't on 3 Imaginary Boys Deluxe somehow. I don't know why they wouldn't include that, but it is on YouTube. It's super shitty quality, but you can hear it. I'll try to plug it in here. So there you go. Definitely more a slowed down Plastic Passion than A Night Like This, but you can see that the chords are there and the piano part is there. So very odd, because then they would hold on to that song and speed it up for a B-side, Boys Don't Cry, and it would, also appear on the Boys Don't Cry compilation album that would come out in the U.S. as their first album. It works a lot better sped up, I think, that way. But, what works even better than sped up Plastic Passion is a reworked version for Head on the Door. Because then somehow they take those chords and make it into A Night Like This. And, like I said at the top here, it's definitely a fan favorite. I think is very safe to say. And I don't think I've ever heard anybody not like this song that's a Cure fan. Maybe ones that you like more, but I think everyone is pretty into this tune. I love it. It's just like perfect mid-tempo Cure. It's not too happy even. It's not too sad. It's kind of poppy, but not, overly poppy Cure. So, it really is just perfect Cure. And, one of those many elements of why we always say Head on the Door is a perfect entry point for the Cure, because you get this kind of brooding, cool, dark, but not too dark Cure. It's not like going straight into pornography on first listen. But yeah, so I think it's great. The song's just fucking recorded amazingly beautiful too. The vocal delivery, like most of the songs on Head on the Door, is just on point. Has great lyrics. The fairly, it's been years now, of course, but stumbling across that "Your Trust, the most gorgeously stupid thing." I always thought it was "You're just the most gorgeously," but it's "Your Trust, comma, the most gorgeously stupid." And that just blew my mind. I still sing it wrong to this day, probably, when I'm caught up in the moment. But it's been played live 576 times, according to setlist.fm. And still a very solid bet for any Cure show that it'll be fairly early in the set list. Usually hovers around that like 4 or 5 spot in the set. So if you're a huge fan, you can pretty much count on that one popping up in the set list. In that sax solo, speaking of sax, it was recorded by Ron Howe of Fool's Dance. So it's always been kind of the JV Cure, So not only did they steal Simon back after leaving, But then they convinced the sax player to do the solo for it. And not too many giant sax solos in Cure songs like this. Usually you have something like Give Me It or something where it was a little just thrown in there. But this one is just like classic psychedelic Furs style where there would be a guitar solo. You got a fucking sax solo. And, you know, if people have noted, I'm not a huge fan. I think it really dates it. As far as sax solos go, this is the fucking cream of the crop, and I'm down with it. But my opinion is that it is fucking 10 times better when it's replaced with a awesome guitar solo, like all the live versions. They never had a sax solo live do this song. Even when Pearl was having the sax on the stage, you know, works way better with a guitar solo, but I'm fine with it. It never even bothers me on, you know, the album or anything like that when I'm listening to it. There was a remix, right, on the Torn Down that really utilized the sax part of it, and I wasn't too keen on that one. But yeah, I'm fine with it. You know, I feel like it does date it a bit. It makes it feel that way, but you know, it works for the song, and you can't deny how good it is. And it's a great sax solo, even for sax solos. But yeah, the guitar solos are fucking great too throughout live history of The Cure, and having this song in their set, it's cool to hear. You know, the main ones, of course, being like Pearls during just from Head on the Door through Wish, and a little 1992 show era solo sounded something like this. And meanwhile, after Pearl left, we had Robert taking on the solo. Perry would lock down the chords there, and usually Robert doing more of a noise kind of solo, which he, you know, is great at doing, creating atmosphere while still keeping it cool, but not sticking strictly to the sax notes, if you will. And of course, we got Reeves' version to the current day, where this was one, I think everybody was cool with the solo portion of him just fucking rocking this out. The one that caught everybody off, I remember this talk around the 2016 tour, when it was really standing out more, the intro part of A Night Like This, where he was adding a little more flair to it, and everyone was like, is this guy gonna overplay on this or what? But then, you know, after like 3 shows, we were all in love with it, and I think everyone's on board, especially for the solo part. This became a huge highlight of the Shows of a Lost World tour, of just seeing this fucking fighter jet coming in for the landing on his solo for A Night Like This. And as we said, with the honorary single feel of A Night Like This, the video is worth a mention because, one, it was weird that they made a video for it, but two, it's surprisingly awesome. It's one of my favorites. It's just, one, the directing of it is really cool. It's super subtle. It's just constant zooming out. You almost don't notice the first 300 times you watch it, but it's just starting in close and zooms out, then it'll cut and it's another zoom out. And they're looking great. They got their gray suits on, their matching suits that they wore around that era, and their hair is just 80s epic, fucking heart of the 80s right there in 1985. Roberts is like a fucking nuclear mushroom cloud on his head and looks so cool. I remember just being so in awe watching this as a kid, going like, oh my god, this is the coolest living human ever. Great arm movements, because we got Robert singing without like holding a mic or a guitar, so he's kind of got this awkward but aggressive arm grabbing and whipping around of his arms, which is very cool. Simon's doing his Simon moves, bouncing around, getting a little more animated than he had been, I guess going back to the pornography stuff. We didn't really see a lot of that in the Hanging Garden video or anything, so we're getting cool Simon bass moves now. Lowell's looking a little comatose in this one, so he's kind of sitting back there with his head kind of cocked back, hitting his keyboard ding 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 parts. And Poral's looking awesome in this one too, and it's really cool. I read somewhere, I need to figure out where exactly to cite it properly, but Tim Pope said this was the first time that sort of slow-mo effect was ever used. Like, he kind of taking credit for inventing it. I'm not 100% sure how they do it filmmaker wise. I think they mime to it slightly sped up, and then like they'll speed the song up a little bit, record them singing to it, and then when they slow it down to match the song, then they would be in like sort of slow-mo but still in time. So something like that, and it's fucking cool, and they usually bust that out for like in Orange. They're doing the same effect basically, and the Anniversary, I think they did it again on that one, so pretty cool. But yeah, it's just really cool, shadowy background, very nothing video, because by this point too, when you're watching the video collection, we didn't really have many of them just playing and looking cool as a band. It was like those early Goofy ones, and then I guess they were kind of 80s cut videos for like Primary and stuff, where they're playing and looking cool, but not like just a straight up on a stage playing, but it's obviously not like a show kind of thing. And because then all the ones from like Let's Go to Bed and stuff were just kind of goofy, weird, mostly Robert, and even Caterpillar, they're, it's such a environmental thing, and Love Cats. So this is kind of the first time I guess they were doing it in between days. They're moving around so fast that you're not really just watching them. I don't know. It just really blew me away as a kid. Like I said, that just seeing them looking badass playing on a stage, but not really doing anything in particular. Wasn't a huge concept behind it. So they probably hate the video, but I thought it was great and loved it as a kid. Yeah, not too much more to say on A Night Like This. I just love the song. It's fucking great. It's just a really well-written song. Like I said, wonderful lyrics, and the chords just really aggressive, but not overly, You can rock it out a bit more like they do live sometimes, but it's still just a great mid-tempo Cure song. It's been covered, most notably, I guess, the Smashing Pumpkins one on the Bullet and Butterfly Wings B-side, where James Iha sings it. I was always like, I wish they'd been a little cooler. Got real excited to hear it, and then I finally heard it, and I was like, oh, this is it. A little underwhelming, but at least the fandom was there. So shall we move on to A Man That Is Inside My Mouth? Yes. It appears mostly as the Close to Me B-side, as we said earlier. And its weird mutation, fitting with that theme, is that it shares a similar name, but that's about all, with the aborted jazzy tune that was recorded at the Love Cats sessions in '83. So where they recorded Love Cats, Speak My Language, and Mr. Pink Eyes. And I guess that's it. And then this Hand Inside My Mouth song. And this wouldn't surface until the Top Deluxe edition. So the closest next album, they just tacked it onto the bonus stuff of the Top. And oddly, even though it shares a similar name to the later Man Inside My Mouth, it had other parts too, because the 6 different ways lyrics to it, when he's just doing his jazzy talk, it's actually some of the same lyrics as 6 different ways. So this song covers a lot of territory. If you look at Hand Inside My Mouth back in '83, being recorded in Paris there, would come out on the Top Deluxe, which is kind of going around '84 era, then has lyrics in it too that come out in a song in 6 different ways in '85. So about a 3-year span of time that this song is merging around. From the Join the Dots booklet there, he said, as a quote for Man Inside My Mouth, when it would properly get reworked for Head on the Door sessions, he said, I like this song because it caused some controversy at the time. I played up the weirder sexual aspects of the lyric. I realized it was going to be contentious, and I had fun with it. Apart from the fact that the song is a weird juxtaposition of 2 completely different events, the man inside my mouth was also the stranger who sometimes used my voice. Huh? Okay. Yeah, it's cool when we talked to Dave Allen too. He said that he was surprised that, I think I'd asked him, I was trying to get his opinion on their amazing B-sides and if it ever bothered him that a song that they recorded in the sessions didn't make the album. And he said he basically, never got involved in that aspect. So they were all just done when they were done, and that was Robert's to figure out. So he didn't even really follow which ones made it to the album or wasn't bent out of shape about it. But he did say he brought up A Man Inside My Mouth and how he was surprised that one didn't make it on the album because he really liked that song a lot and recording it. And there's so much cool production stuff going on all these B-sides that we're about to talk about. This is right when the era of, Join the Dots is pretty kick-ass all the way through, of course, but when it hits this early Head on the Door from here up for a good chunk of the album, these are just amazing B-sides, better than most bands' best stuff, and a lot of it is that production. Again, huge credit to Dave Allen too. I'm sure he had a whole huge part to do with it. So yeah, it's a rad tune. It's a wild tune. So yeah, I think episode 3 maybe, super far back. One of the first episodes I did where I was just talking to my buddy Ryan, and I told this story, so I guess I'm safe to retell it again. But related to Man Inside My Mouth, it was funny. This must have been 2008 or 7 even, when I was first moved to Asheville and playing in Ryan's band with him. We were called the If You Wannas, and we started to do more regional shows, or we would do longer weekends where we would travel out of our Asheville bubble and hit up Athens and Atlanta and the Triangle area here in North Carolina, which is still 5 hours from us, but it's just still North Carolina, out in Raleigh. And we went to Duke University, and Duke University, and we were playing this. It was like a bistro campus kind of thing. So it's already weird vibes that it wasn't a full-on bar or anything, but it was on the campus. This thing's always paid more than normal shows anyway. Playing for college kids should be cool, how many chances you get to play at Duke. So we're a little weary, but we set up, and there was another band on the bill. I wish I can remember their name. I think it was something in French because I don't remember it, but they started playing. They were all right. They were just kind of a cool alternative band, and the singer was singing everything in French, so that was cool. So they're like a cool rock band with this French girl singer. And about halfway through the set, they fucking launch into A Man Inside My Mouth. And I was like, holy shit. And she's all like singing it with a French accent, and the band's nailing it, and it sounds great, And it's, I love a good Cure cover that's rare. So extra points there, as always. I was blown away, I automatically love this band now. So I had to go sing their praises afterwards. And that was fucking great. You covered that Cure song, and the punchline was that she was just like a French major or something, She's like, oh, thanks, man. She wasn't even French, I imagine her having like a southern accent afterwards, but I don't really remember if she did or not. But yeah, it was cool. They fucking nailed it, and I was like, holy shit! I never thought I would see somebody cover that. The Cure's only even played it 3 times live, so yeah, and that was like way later in 2014. Christmas shows in London, I have noted here. So if you saw one of those 3 times, 2014, consider yourself lucky, because those are the only 3 times A Man Inside My Mouth has been played live. So yeah, that was a highlight of that show, and fun to meet that band. Shall we move on? Let's do it. A New Day is next, and this was kind of the big rarity on both Half An Octopuss and Quadpus. This one also had a weird mutation story where it started out as a different song. We would later learn it originally was demoed again around the Top era, and Robert had a quote of saying, the last thing I did before Simon rejoined was this early version of New Day, and that was around the end of the Top sessions. So it didn't make the album, but it made it on the deluxe edition as a song called Sadakik. So I would worry that I'm just mispronouncing this word, but I looked it up and it's not a real word at all. So what is the message here? Sadakik. It's Sadacic. And only codes that we could crack were it is cicadas spelled backwards. Maybe something there. Autocorrect changes it to sad acid, which probably has nothing to do with the song, but is a likely fit if it wasn't intentional. So who knows what the hell Sadakik is, but that was it. And he says shout in it, so it's definitely the song. But not only does it sound like a really underworked, rough version of New Day, but again, it has some other little nuggets that are interesting. And I don't even know if I've heard or read anything that confirms this, but clearly listening to it, the bass line is very similar to the Prayers for Rain riff. So if you hear that in there, and then the guitar part is very similar to the already recorded at this point guitar riff from Lament. So maybe that's why this song just kind of fizzled out, is because he was just using a guitar part that was very similar to something he had already done on Lament, and wanted to use the bass riff for Prayers for Rain, which is weird because when you listen to New Day, you don't hear anything of Prayers for Rain foreshadowing. So I don't know. What do you think? Maybe I'm just reading too much into it. Here's a sound bite. Don't tell Spotify. Okay. So, yeah, pretty cool, eh? That this whole song is just kind of mixed and matched from the start, and things would reappear Love that about Cure stuff, little Easter eggs for us. It would get a huge makeover for the whole Head on the Door sessions, of course, and finally becoming New Day, which would still just be a B-side, but it's a cool song. Robert is really experimenting with the vocals here still, so it definitely stretches back from that top kind of vibe, and he's just wailing his head off on this one. On some days it's like the coolest, best sound ever, and other days it does get kind of annoying, but this is the one to throw on for the not quite convinced Cure fan in your family and see what they go, Jesus, what is he singing? But but I love it. I think this is it always reminds me of like I'm doing a lot of mixing right now of my own recordings, and like EQ knobs and shit, like when you really dive into the mixing and you're putting effects on things, and a lot of times you throw it on there and you can't even tell what the hell it's doing, but so you, as a test, kind of you twist it all the way just to hear it at its extreme, and it goes and then you can know to back it off and stuff when you crank something. So that's what it reminds me of, like if you had a Robert's voice knob during New Day, it's just you're just testing the limits of what you can do with Robert. So pretty fun just to hear him cutting loose, of course. And the drum loop is really cool on this, and just listening back, and it's cool that Boris is accenting it over it, and probably pretty similar to what he did a lot with the Thompson twins, so that makes sense that this would be something he would do entry point, just joining the Cure on some of these stuff where it would be like a drum loop and he's just hitting these cool kind of drum rolls over it. This one's never been played live as far as I could track down, so let me know if I'm wrong on that one, but no New Day live ever. So pretty cool. Of the ones, I could see why they didn't really shovel this one out first, but at the same time, it's cool. I love it. Stop Dead. Stop Dead appears also on the Close to Me single, and on the regular and 12-inch single, as well as the In Between Dazed singles. As I said earlier, for some reason they rotated them around. It has been played a handful of times live, again mostly later, 6 times to be exact. It was around those 2014 the Teen Cancer Trust shows, where it was kind of the top anniversary in 2014. So it wasn't declared, I think, that was what they were doing, but I think they played like all of the top, just not in sequence or anything, just sprinkled into the very long, amazing set list. It's apparently a favorite of Simon's too. At some point, he caught wind of that. It's just kind of a cool, funky, weird song too. I've listened to it a lot leading up to this episode. Obviously I've listened to it a billion times over the years, but was really digging in again for the first time in a while, and I'd almost kind of forgotten how synth heavy it is. So that was kind of cool just to hear all the cool little synth layers going on, and how if you re-recorded this one in particular and leaned in a different direction, it would drastically change. So it could have been a lot darker, could have been a lot more electronic, like even more synthy if you had really played that up, Japanese Whispers style. Or you could even just funk up those guitars a lot more, like they kind of lean into a bit more on Kiss Me, Kiss Me. So it's kind of cool just to see how really all these songs, all these B-sides are great examples of like evolved top tracks, just like what the top, I don't know how to explain it, but they're very much in the timeline of what they were for the Cure. Like they're a little more evolved than what was going on the top, or maybe just more focused because he wasn't as spread thin and drugged out or whatever. But so they're kind of like better than the top, but certain ones you could see they're not quite the Kiss Me, Kiss Me level yet. So it's kind of cool to think of them in that perspective, in that timeline, how there's still like Japanese Whispers residue even going on some of them, but they're not fully realized yet like they would be when the guitar parts on Kiss Me, if you will. So I don't know. So that's probably why they still stayed B-sides too, because they were lost in between the eras there, while the rest of Head on the Door kind of feels like it's just dropped out of the heavens because it's so perfectly concise and works great. And when you listen to the top, and that's not even really a dig on the top, is just more just how polished and fucking concise Head on the Door is, and everything works. But when you hear these songs, you could totally see like something like New Day if you swapped out some of those keyboard things for like a sitar or something. It really does feel like it could be, some top leftovers. So yeah, kind of cool just to see where, you got something so conveniently, which makes sense. It's in the timeline of when it was recorded. And then, that's it, actually. That's all the songs. Damn these EPs. I thought I had another one here. See, I got all in the zone and forgot that there aren't that many songs on here. So, yeah, I guess that's all of them. And I guess that was my big finale grand statement, was that it is crazy to think how these songs how far they did evolve. Because a lot of them were, taken as far back as 1976, even with the Plastic Passion into A Night Like This. And, but a lot of them could have been recorded a little different, but ultimately would fall as B-sides. I don't think any of these really should have been on Head on the Door, necessarily. Obviously, Close to Me and A Night Like This, but as far as the B-sides, I don't think any of these, maybe A Man Inside My Mouth, like David Allen was saying. I'll take his word for it, but I don't know. I think a few hours after this, an Exploding Boy, an argument could be made, but it's weird with Head on the Door, and we'll get into that more when we do our 40th anniversary talk, I'm sure. Is just that it's not really missing songs like Exploding Boy or A Few Hours After This. But if you think of it in terms of Kiss Me Up, Head on the Door could probably use like two more like big moody songs that they didn't really have in the B-sides. There isn't like a Open or Want kind of song, So, and when you think of the classic Cure albums, that's the only thing it doesn't really have. It just comes out blazing with the single. And, but, that's kind of the beauty of Head on the Door, too, is that it is so concise and cuts straight to the point, and it's got the dark and poppy and everything all in one neat little package. So I don't really think any of these B-sides would have, been better off on the album, but just further proof of what amazing B-sides The Cure does have. So yeah, I don't need to ramble on too much then. I guess that's Quadpus and a Half of an Octopus. Do you have a favorite? Do you think one of them really outshines the other? I guess I'll go with Quadpus because I like the idea of it being a Night Like This single without it officially being a Night Like This single. So, but really, it's just a cool little EP and a collection of those B-sides, even though the two best ones aren't on it. If anything, they should have put all the Head on the Door B-sides together out as an EP, as its own separate EP, because they're all so good. Definitely could do that for Kiss Me. That's a side thought that never happened or is 40 years too late, just about. But yeah, that's what they should have done, is put out a little EP of just the B-sides all compiled, especially back in the old days when it was harder to get all those guys. But like I said, we will be honoring Head on the Door throughout the year of 2025. So if you have any other ways you think we should honor it before getting to the full-on album anniversary, let me know. We've already done feature episodes on In Between Days and Close to Me. And so there's not too much more, but it is a pretty epic Cure album to start the golden age. All right, well, we'll start to wrap up here. We do have Record Store Day will have happened the day before this comes out. So I hope everybody, speaking of Head on the Door, went out and got that picture disc if you didn't have Head on the Door on vinyl already and wanted it on a picture and it was affordable and you felt like going to Record Store Day. I'm going to pass on this one. I already have an old version, so it seems to be working fine. Alone is on a 12-inch dance remix, so let us know how that remix is. I would like to hear it. Hopefully I can find an old a leftover copy somewhere, but not the end of the world if I don't. But maybe they'll put it on streaming too, just so it doesn't get lost over time. But on top of that, yeah, hopefully that ties it over until we get some official Cure news. We need some Cure updates here, guys. What are we doing? Tour coming up. We got this new album. Just need to finish the vocals. Here we are again. All right, and you guys take care out there. We're going to end this with a giant shout out, as always, to our Patreon crew. These guys are amazing. They keep the show running. Good souls all the way around. And if you are curious in joining the Patreon crew, just going over to patreon.com/The Holy Hour Podcast. I put up Holy Half Hour episodes once a month, throw in little other nuggets occasionally, and it's just a great time over there and a very cool way to show your support for the podcast. So giant thank you to Donna, Craig, Jeff Hilton, Jeff Cortland, Jones, Sue, John, Alan, Allison, Dion, Namicio, Matt Ford, Tom Burns, Letty, John Roberts, Jason, Tony, Ben, Matt Fisher, Danny, Coulter, Tom Johnson, Francisco, Arno, Chip, Amber, Nicholas, Shirley, Jason Hall, Steve, Mara, Caroline, Brian, Sean, and Colin. And of course, Kate over at CureThreads.com. It's an online shop that has tons of original Cure-inspired designs on a wide range of products. Kate also runs the Cure Arts Collab on Instagram. There's a new theme up there and a project for you guys to dive into. It's still up. You must create art that accompanies Cure lyrics from literature, such as Charlotte Sometimes or the Gorman Gas novel trilogies, The Hanging Garden, The Stranger. So many. Just see our old episode if you need some book ideas, but I don't think you'll have any trouble with it being a Cure fan and all. So super cool. Go create some Cure art that's based on the books that Robert has referenced or been inspired by for lyrics. Cure Arts Collab is on Instagram. Go check out the main post. That'll make more sense than what I just said if you want the details. Scott Kruger is co-host of the Sarlacc Digest, an all Star Wars podcast, and it airs every Wednesday evening, 8 p.m. Pacific time on YouTube and Facebook with replays anytime you want to push the button on your favorite podcasting streaming service. And they're real close. Andor's coming out. We're rewatching Andor season 1 right now. Oh my god, I feel like an idiot for almost having forgot how brilliant that show is. So good. I can't wait to see season 2. They can't wait to see it and talk about it. So join the party. We'll be there. I'll be there. Sometimes Antonio pops in too. So join us in the Sarlacc, in the pit, they say in the chat. David runs Obsessive Geek on Etsy. It's an online shop with tons of cool products that you can check out, and that includes 3D printed recreations of Cure album covers, amongst other things. He's got the Three Imaginary Boys album cover over there, Boys Don't Cry album cover, Boys Don't Cry single cover, Songs of a Lost World. So spice up your walls, make them look cool with some Cure-related art over at the Obsessive Geek on Etsy. Dana is a super talented animation and illustration artist, and she's for hire, so check out her work at graphics.tv. That's graphics with an X.tv. Tanya would love to spread awareness 4988lifeline.org, suicide and crisis hotline with over 200 crisis call centers located all over the U.S. Available 24/7, offering free and confidential support for people in distress, and numerous prevention and crisis resources as well. If you or anyone you know is in need of help, please reach out. Shit is crazy right now, so please don't feel alone and reach out. Tim is part of New Waterloo, an independent hospitality development, design, and management company that owns and operates a slew of hotels and restaurants. You can find these many lovely locations at newwaterloo.com. Lisa recommends you check out Dickens in Calgary, Canada for a great live show, and you can see the full listing of events at dickensyyc.com. Then enjoy the nightlife of the goth scene in Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas. Follow Jessica's recommendations and check out whatever Club Nevermore is putting on. Their upcoming schedule of events can be found at clubnevermore.com. And of course, Chaz's other podcast, the Excommunication Station, where he and Chrissy take on the evangelical church. New episodes drop every Wednesday, everywhere you get your podcasts. They just celebrated their 200th episode. Always worthy of celebration. It is so hard to make it to 200 episodes of a podcast. So that way you know they're legit. They ain't fucking around. Nobody that's made 200 episodes is just willy-nilly out there. So they're the real deal. Go check it out if you haven't yet. 200's a great spot to start listening, and you'll really dig it. On your way out, swing by our new official Holy Hour merch store. It's through TeePublic now. The links are all the same, though, in the description. You can find them and get all your favorite cool Holy Hour designs over there. They do little rando sales occasionally, so keep your eyes peeled on Instagram. I'll try to let you know where you can get the t-shirts for like $16 plus shipping. And they seem pretty good quality so far. The ones I got back from them haven't fallen apart or anything. So go check it out. I think you'll dig it. Go show some support for the podcast. My voice is falling apart. I'm not making any sense. It's late. I'm dragging ass. I'm going to wrap up now. Thank you so much for sharing my excitement of Quadpus and Half An Octopuss. If you have the record, go put it on. Cherish these B-sides. Go give a night like this a big hug for us all, because goddamn, it's a great song and it deserves better. It deserved to be a single, I tell you. But yeah, we'll catch you next week. We got some fun stuff planned for the horizon here as we await more official Cure news. So thank you so much for listening. As always, hope you guys are doing good out there, and talk hard.
You wouldn't believe that my mum and dad actually danced here, would you? Like, in a competition. That part of the gene structure went missing, I think, somehow.